One of the things I feel like that we don't do well as a postmodern culture is take seriously the fact that we have the miracle of life, that we wake up every day, that we're living beings, but that we also have the capacity to think about our livingness, to have self-awareness, perception, and to actually take that seriously as a way of God's desire and capacity to communicate with us as his creatures. I didn't grow up in what one might call like a literary household. I didn't read a lot of books growing up. I wasn't that interested in literature. Where it really happened for me, I was at Portland State University as a graduate student. I just remember reading Wordsworth in particular, poems like Tintern Abbey, and being really struck by this idea of the capacity to not only be living beings, but to be self-consciously thoughtful living beings. This was elevated to a level in people like Wordsworth and Keats that I'd never seen before. I don't know, my mind exploded. Poetry for me is where it's at. One can be attracted to the beauty of language, that there is a certain intoxication, I think, simply in sound, in the movement of a line. The way to go beyond that, if one reads a poem out loud, the way it passes through the body on breath is different than it reads in one's voice of the mind. I mean, that's not good enough. If it's a poem, it has to be read out loud. It's made for that. The beauty of poetry is that it deliberately is written in such a way to have multiple registers of meaning, that it's not bound up, that you'll be reading a poem and you may suddenly hit a line or a word and it's like, is that a noun or is that a verb? What if it doesn't have to be either a noun or a verb, but a noun and a verb, right? And then you have something much like a fractal of sorts, and the poetic narrative splits and goes multiple directions. I see that as part of the being of God, to be honest.